Hi and welcome to the We Need Roads podcast. And your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to join myself and Agent Lopez as we give our initial spoiler reactions to the latest in Tom Cruise Does Crazy Stunts franchise, Mission Impossible 7, Dead Reckoning Part 1. Yes, indeed, this is the 7th installment and director Chris McQuarrie's 3rd installment. So let's get to the plot basics before we spoil everything. We see a Russian sub with some AI on board blow itself up. We see Tom get his usual message, which sends him off to track down Ilsa, who's hiding in the desert with the standard plot MacGuffin. She fakes her own death and Tom goes after the MacGuffin. And that's pretty much it in terms of the story. I've pretty much summed it up right there for you, Jose. That's pretty much the story.
And I think that's what makes these Mission Impossible movies so great is on paper, it's a pretty straightforward thing. There's a MacGuffin, but what they do with these ideas is just so great.
What Tom Cruise and I think Chris McQuarrie, since he jumped on at, I think it was the 5th film as director, what they have done in the last 3 films is they've realized people are here for spectacle. They're here for crazy stunts of Tom Cruise doing them himself. And so much of the build-up and the marketing and the behind-the-scenes footage you see of these films being made is what gets you to go and see them. That's why Top Gun was massive last year. Everyone was like, wait, the actors are in the planes? Okay, I want to go and see that. Tom Cruise is actually, we know he's not flying it. They CGI'd out the actual pilot, but he's actually in the plane. That is cool. I will go and see that. Fair play. And it's the same here. Since I forget which film it was, but it's the one that has the famous Burj Khalifa sequence in it in Dubai, where he's running down the tallest building in the world. I mean, that's what Mission Impossible has become about. It's these show-stopping set pieces. And of course, in Dead Reckoning, we already know what it's going to be because it's been all over the trailer and adverts for months. We know there's a train crashing into the valley and Tom Cruise, yes, Mad Tom, driving a bike off a mountain, dropping a bike and then parachuting down to land on a train.
Yes. And the funny thing is in the movie, it is very obvious when it's going to happen.
Yeah, I was wondering whether the order of the trailer was a bit different. And then as I was watching the film, I was like, this is definitely going to be the climax of the film, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because what else could you really finish with?
It's funny because I did mention the same thing in terms of like, I wonder if it's going to be the beginning or not, because one of the earlier ones where he held on to the side of the airplane, that was the intro. That was the intro of the movie. There was no explanation.
Yeah.
Oh, they're on a mission. So I was wondering if that was going to be the same situation, but thankfully it is not.
Well, as all Mission Impossible films, you have to have a villain. And the villain in this film is called Gabriel. And he's played by, and I'm going to see if I get this right, S.A. Morales?
I'm going to go with it. Fun little fact. So he wasn't supposed to be the original actor, but due to scheduling conflicts, Nicholas Hoult was supposed to be the original villain.
I mean,
and
we've talked about Nicholas Hoult's bad luck, man.
Bad luck. I got to admit, I really do like him and the stuff that he's been. So, but like, I don't know. I think
I can't see him in this role.
I can't see him in this role.
No.
Morales, take away the fighting. I don't think Morales is necessarily the most imposing physical fighter because after Superman with a mustache, it's hard to keep up that level of power. But like, I think as a speaker,
John Locke.
I think as a speaker and in creating
he's a better actor.
He's a better actor. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. That's a simple way of saying it. But when we meet S.A. Morales, I was wondering, okay, so you see a flashback and he has some connection to Ethan before his IMF days. And I couldn't remember whether this was a flashback from an earlier film in the series or was it just created for this film to give him a bit of more backstory and a personal link with Ethan. And I think it is just made for this film. I don't think that's from another film.
Yeah, I think it's original film. They just did a really good job of making Morales look younger, just giving him dark hair instead of gray. But if you notice, they don't even show Tom Cruise's face. They just imply his long hair from the second movie, which is kind of odd. But I guess they couldn't show a body double. Yeah, I mean, I really think it's just the original content they created. Otherwise, it'd be very obvious.
Well, so Gabriel is the human face of the villain of the film. However, the actual bad guy in the film is something we've just talked about in our previous podcast, and that is AI.
Yes.
Except in this film, the AI is called the Entity, which, does sound like a 70s horror film. In fact, I think it actually was a 70s horror film.
You know what it actually sounds like? The 2008 movie Eagle Eye. With Shia LaBeouf.
God.
I'll be honest. It doesn't
Shia
really...
LaBeouf.
It doesn't really have all the same beats, but it has a lot of major points that are similar to that movie.
I do not think there are many Mission Impossible reviews out there where has made that connection. Jose, you have gone to a Shia LaBeouf film and connected it to Mission Impossible. Well done.
And you know what? You want to hear some fun little fact about that as well. Another actress who was in not only Mission Impossible and this movie is Michelle Monaghan.
She was in maybe 2 of the Mission Impossible films, wasn't she? I think she was in. Was it in
part
3?
3 with J.J. Abrams, and then part 6
came back in Fallout. Yeah.
Fallout. Yeah.
Okay. Well, getting back to the Entity, it does get funnier every time you say it. And in fact, I mean, I think you could easily do an Entity drinking game for this film.
Oof. If you want to survive, we probably won't want to, but yeah, they do say quite a lot. They say quite a lot.
And with all these types of films, our heroes need to find an item. And the only thing and this item is the only thing that can control or kill the AI. So this means lots of globe-trotting through Abu Dhabi, Venice, and England, doubling for Switzerland. I think we have 4 different location changes before the opening title sequence in this film.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I think we're like 25 minutes, half an hour in, and then the actually had the actual start to the film. I was like, well, they're really like reaching for it here. So the big main addition to the cast is Hayley Atwell as Grace, a career thief who has unknowingly acquired one of the MacGuffins and is suddenly a target for the good guys and the bad guys. And they are clearly holding back almost everything from Grace's backstory to future films because we learn almost nothing about her in this film. Now, looking at my notes, Jose, the next thing I need to say is the one thing what we talked about when we discussed the trailers from this film previously this year was the one thing this film could do to annoy me. The one thing this film could do to make me rage and riot in the cinema.
Yeah.
And that would be if they killed Ilsa. And they bloody killed Ilsa. You utter bastards.
I was, you know, the funny thing is they did a fake out in the beginning of the film and I was disappointed, but I'm like, oh, okay. And they brought her back. And then near the end, they do it again. And then I'm like, no, that was just annoying. And now that it was just, there was so many things to say about it, but just the fake out to only do it again for real at the end. I'm just like that's.
It wasn't even the end. It was like halfway through the film.
Was it? I guess it was 2/3 through.
Yeah,
you're right.
What annoys me about is how poorly this bit was written and the reason given for it. And the whole idea is that Gabriel, he wants to personally hurt Ethan. So he's going to go after his friends. And he's going to you have to make the choice, Ethan. One of these women is going to die. Grace, who you've only just met, who you know next to nothing about, who has continuously ripped you off and run away from you and done the exact opposite of everything so far, who you've probably only known in the film for a couple of days at most, 2 days.
Yeah.
Versus Ilsa, who you've gone on multiple missions with over many years. Like, it shouldn't even be a choice. It should be like, well, I'm clearly the new person is going to get the bullet in the head. Sorry, Agent Carter, but you know, you haven't really been around long enough for us to be that fussed about it. It shouldn't even be the choice, man. It shouldn't be the choice at all.
I mean, if anything, I think a lot of us were expecting Benji to bite it in the airport. And
well, you can't set off a nuclear bomb in an airport, man.
Well, yeah,
he did say localized, didn't he? He did say localized nuclear bomb.
But still, I think the setup just wasn't done right. Because like there was no attachment to Peggy Carter. Sorry, but Grace. But I think that I think if anything, they should have at least gotten rid of the fake out in the beginning then, because it just doesn't make sense to fake out and then actually follow through later on in the movie. It just comes off annoying for me, at least.
What I thought they should have done here is right. I mean, they totally did. Also, she gets killed with a tiny little pocket knife to the chest. It's like upper chest. Come on, people survive that all the time.
I'll be honest. There have been some people talking. Like I saw a video saying maybe that was another fake out, and I mean, I think that would have been better if it turns out to be a fake out. If she didn't fake out already in the beginning,
Do you know how I would have done it?
How
I would have had big sword fight on the bridge. Gets a sword right through the stomach because you can survive stomach wounds, and then falls into the canal.
Ah,
She's
yes.
still on the board,
Yes.
but you don't know where she's going to be. You assume she's dead, but you kind of know she's probably not. And that takes her out of the running for the rest of this film. Or she could have been the person on the train at the end who puts her hand down to rescue him.
Yes. I mean, if you think about it, with the gut injuries, that's how Chris Hemsworth comes back in
Extraction
2. Random
well, he fell off a bridge as well, didn't he? He fell off a bridge.
He fell off the bridge into water.
You fall off a bridge to water, you're fine.
You're fine. You'll get back right up. Yeah. But I had even some people suggest that she shouldn't have been in the movie at all and come back in 8. And I think that would have been better. I would have been happy to have her not show up at all and then just come back in 8. Because I've heard that the 8 is going to be the final wrap up to this. I mean, who knows?
Block of McQuarrie and Cruise.
Yeah, I think with Cruise, 8 is probably going to be his last one, and then who knows what we're going to get later. But I think
I've got a theory on that as well.
Yeah, but
we'll get to that later.
But I think that they set her up into 2 movies. She had great character depth, almost as great, honestly, as Benji, and Ving Rhames.
And she was his equal. She was just as good as Ethan at her job.
And I didn't think he needed a romantic subplot, but if there was going to be one, it would have been with her.
Briefly hinted at it at the end of the last one, but like very briefly.
But to have this happen, I mean, even if they do bring her back, it'll still muddy the waters a little bit.
I think she's gone, man. She's happy enough doing Dune 2 and Silo, man. She's got enough on her plate.
Oh gosh, but yeah, I mean, overall though, this movie is great.
I'd have to knock a star off it because they killed Ilsa. I would have gone 5 stars, but I had to give it 4 because you can't kill Ilsa, man.
What I gotta say though is I'm surprised with McQuarrie being this director, because I was like, this looks so much different than the other movies that he's directed. And the best example I can give is the alleyway fight, which can I even call it an alley? It was such an original idea to make it so limiting. The only time I've ever seen anything close to this is a Jet Li movie where they were in an office building, and it was a little bit tight, but it wasn't quite as tight as this.
I haven't seen anything that tight. The one that first come to mind was in the Daredevil TV series, the corridor fight in the first series.
Yes.
That's still a bit of space. He's not like literally can barely move. I mean, they did something similar when they were on top of the train at the end, when they're both down and they're inching towards him with a knife. That was very cool, man. That hadn't been done before. Although
that was very Wolverine, honestly.
Well, I was going to say one thing about the AI stuff and the entity. With that the plot was so convoluted and it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and I just stopped caring. Like, what is this end game? Are we going to go full Terminator Rise of the Machines? Do the team fail to stop? What is the end game? And even Gabriel wasn't really clear. All we got was he's carrying out the AI's work for him.
I have to say though that I think that in a small way it is better that we know that kind of what's going on, because if you think about the alternate to this, it's back to the J.J. Abrams movie where it's like, what is the rabbit's foot? And they never even answered it. No. They never even answered what the rabbit's foot. So I think with all that's going on, I think it's better that we know what the entity is.
In these type of films, you always have a MacGuffin. It's you need to find the thing to get. You need to find the thing, but there's a second part of the thing, so you need to travel and get the other part of the thing. I mean, that's literally Dial of Destiny. That's literally Transformers: Rise of the Beast. 2 films I've literally just seen in the last month, and they've got the exact same plot. On a basic level.
I think to your credit, though, you're right. This isn't the best movie, but I think it just performs so well.
Yeah.
It makes everything enjoyable to watch.
It's a great watch, and the plot doesn't have to make sense. You don't have to really care. It's not a deep acting film. We're there for spectacle and set pieces, and that's what McQuarrie and Cruise deliver. I was going to say though, one of my favorite little side characters who I think was introduced in this film is Shea Wiggum's character Briggs, who's like the IMF agent who's got his sidekick, and they're always one step behind Cruise the whole way. Then they finally help him out on the train. I thought he did really well. He barely had like 2-3 words every scene.
Yeah, I've seen him before, and I was really hoping for more banter with him.
He's just so. I saw him he played Steve Buscemi's brother in Boardwalk Empire. And he was amazing in that. That's what I saw him in. But I love it when he runs into his boss, Kittredge, on the train at the end. And he's like, before that scene when they're trying to evacuate the train, before the scene, he's like, I'm not here. Okay, cool. And then he just gets on with the job. Then on the way back, like, where were you evacuating to? Well, you're not here. I thought that's great. That's like a real nice fuck you line to the boss. I think we had probably just the right amount of Benji and Luther. I mean,
yes, I think so too. I think
the last film, Fallout, literally had all of them trying to defuse a nuclear bomb, and that was the end of the film. This one, Benji has to do it by himself in about 5 minutes near the start of the film.
I think it's a good balance, because there's only so much you can do trying to be smart.
There's only so many times you can put them in danger as well.
Yeah, but I think there's two characters that I liked. Paris, played by Pom Klementieff.
Oh, let's talk about Pom Klementieff. Yeah,
I was so happy with her performance. She's a great villain and great fighter. I'll be honest, I mixed her up with the actress who is in The Boys, but I realized she's the actress
Karen
that plays
Fukuhara.
And I think with the hairstyles and the makeup, and I had never seen Pom without her Mantis makeup, so I guess I was just thrown off. But I think really one thing that surprised me is I'm glad I didn't look at the cast list, because in the beginning of the movie, after the desert scene, they're in the meeting room, and I literally laughed out loud when I saw Rob Delaney in there. I that was the most pleasant surprise of casting. And then Carrie Ills shows up, and I'm like, great job.
Definitely going to be a useless villain. You just know he's going to be a villain, but he's going to be a crap villain.
You know what's funny? I didn't learn my lesson. I was genuinely surprised when he showed up later in the movie. I was like, what?
And then died.
Oh, as you wish, my ass. No, I really would have liked more from him. I'm a big fan of Carrie, honestly, but I want him to be more good guys, not just.
Well, talking characters who died but potentially come back, I was getting ready to be really annoyed again when it looked like they killed Paris off at the end of the film. But
yeah,
the guy says,
breathing.
We've got a heartbeat.
Heartbeat, yeah.
And I love the fact, and there's so much more story there. She doesn't say almost a word the whole film. And then he just turns and Gabriel just turns on her because the AI's told him she's going to betray him. By him shooting her, cause her to betray. Like it's a whole snake eating its own tail kind of thing.
Well, my question is the AI seems to have a lot of ability to see things that it maybe shouldn't. Because like the fact that when she lost the fight and Tom Cruise just hit the wall above her head, and I'm like, is there cameras nearby, security cameras? Like, how does the AI know this? Or is it just saying in terms of probability?
I think the AI calculated that he probably wouldn't kill a woman outright like that.
Oh yeah, and he did save that police officer in the last movie.
Yeah,
or was it the one previous to that? No, it was
one of those.
Yeah, because he did say the policewoman. But granted, I don't know if it's really
come on, man.
Wise to say that just because of a woman.
I just think this thing. I can't remember. Have you ever seen Tom Cruise kill a woman on screen? Probably not. Probably like one of his things. But I mean, yeah, Pom Klementieff was just superb as Paris, man. You just definitely know she's going to be part of the team in the next film as well.
I really hope so, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
and here's
as well. That'll be nice.
Yeah, right. I was surprised to hear her speak French. I was like, oh, that's a nice addition. But also,
I think she's Dutch in real life. So
gotcha. But the cool thing about Part 8, if you don't mind me talking forward, 1, Nick Offerman, which we'll see how he turns out. But 2, the one and only Hannah Waddingham of Ted Lasso fame. Yes, she is expected to be in Mission Impossible 8. But granted, how we just saw Rob Delaney and Carrie Ills just have small parts. We don't know how big they're going to be involved in the movie. So I just think
Hannah Waddingham would be a brilliant, massive baddie in it. I would love that.
I think so too. There's so much potential, but we don't know. I'm excited to say the least.
Off the top of my head, knowing nothing about, I didn't even know they were in the film until you just told me.
Well, they're going to be in 8, yes.
Ron has to be an IMF guy. He just has to be like one of the shadowy boss guys.
Oh, I don't know. I think he's going to play a great American agent. I really do.
He could be a good guy, but the problem is that every Mission Impossible film, the second you meet someone, they're never a good guy immediately, are they? They always spend half the first film or most of the first film with a new character going, oh, they're a good guy or a bad guy. Oh, they're one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, there's a potential because he could play against cat type and then be villain. You just never know.
Well, I don't know if you saw the TV show Debs, which he was the lead character, and he was pretty villainous in that, man. He was I'm not sure where that aired in the States. I remember it was on the BBC in here, but it was an American show. It's like a co-production, and it's like proper. That's bloody another AI one actually as well. There, God. But Hannah Waddingham, I was just thinking she would have been perfectly cast to be the White Widow's mother, except Vanessa Redgrave already played the White Widow's mother in the original Mission Impossible film.
Really?
Yeah. If you've forgotten that far back, because it is a while back, yeah, Vanessa Redgrave, she is her daughter, because that's that line where they says, "I haven't seen you since Paris," and Gracie's version with a mask on is trying to bullshit her way through it.
All right. Also, one more addition to the casting of news for Mission Impossible 8, Janet McTeer. If you're a fan of Ozark, yes,
the lawyer.
Yes, I have to admit, if she is not a villain, it's a waste of a role. It is a waste of a role.
Definitely a villain.
She honestly was such a great standout. I wouldn't be surprised if she was only supposed to make an appearance as that lawyer, but she did so well that she was asked to come back.
We'll have to listen to lots of episodes of Smartless and see if Jason Bateman ever confirms that for us.
Yeah.
You know, the funniest thing for me is, obviously, she plays American in Ozark. She's from Newcastle in England, which has one of the strongest regional accents you will ever hear. Like, I guarantee, Jose, if you went to Newcastle, well, let me rephrase that. and this is no offense to anyone in Newcastle who listens.
Completely.
I would have trouble understanding the locals in Newcastle.
Wow. If the listeners could see my face, my jaw dropped.
After this podcast, Jose, Google what does a Geordie sound like and just be like, Jesus Christ.
All right, done. That's going to happen as soon as we
Google
hit end.
Give a Geordie a Google. That sounds very dodgy as well. Oh, one of my other questions I've just immediately forgotten about. Where has Kittredge been since Mission Impossible 1?
Ooh, I think it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, we just assume he's been doing his thing this whole time.
But now he's the director of the IMF, isn't he?
I didn't catch that, honestly.
No, see, I'm pretty sure he's in charge of the... Yeah, he's in charge of the IMF. Later on, when Ethan's trying to figure a way out of it for him and Grace, and he says, this man Kittredge, go and tell him you want to choose to be... You want to take the vow. Yeah, accept the mission and all that kind of stuff.
I forgot that Alec Baldwin on the...
He was the boss, wasn't he?
He was the boss, but he died. So I think that opening allowed for Kittredge to return. Because I think Kittredge was pretty high up in the first one. It just, I don't know how high up.
There's a famous line, isn't there, in the first film where it's like there's some like tech geek and he like gives him a load of shit and says, if you don't do this, I'm going to send you to like Siberia or something. And I was really hoping we'd see the same guy from Siberia.
Fun fact, he is rumored to be in the next movie as well.
The tech guy.
Yes. It's it was just a rumor. I think for the Rolf Saxon is the actor.
Okay,
Rolf Saxon. That I'm also looking at various outlets, so it could be confirmed by now. If not, but yeah, it is confirmed. It is rumored that he is going to be in the next one, but that one I don't know for sure. So don't quote me on that.
I did see a funny comment online. Actually, this was on Threads, and someone just went, "We've just had Vanessa Kirby, Rebecca Ferguson, Pom Klentoff, and Hayley Atwell all in the same scene," and I don't think I've recovered yet.
Yes, they are very beautiful women.
Well, and a fair play as well. Vanessa Kirby here was excellent because obviously she was quite a serious role in the last film was the White Widow. But here, obviously one of the plot points is she gets impersonated by Hayley Atwell's character, Grace. But obviously it's Vanessa Kirby pretending to be not herself. Grace. So that was really cleverly done. I thought it put quite a bit of humour in it. When she just walks in, like after, there's that bit, they've got a big laugh actually in the cinema where it keeps cutting back between her waking up. And she kind of wakes up, goes up, and then just collapses down to the other side of the screen. I got a big laugh. That's one of the biggest laughs of the film, actually.
I have to say, there was a lot more humor in this than I expected.
But not cheesy.
Correct. I think with Tom Cruise and Hayley Atwell with the chase scene, and you think they're going to get in that Ferrari, and then the Fiat shows up. I was like, okay, you got me.
Well, that's great, because that's kind of threads back into what you were saying about Macquarie doing new stuff. How many times have we seen in like a car chase through Italy in a really fancy car? So in a little tiny Fiat that looks like a smart car almost. And I love the fact that when he gets in, he stalls it. And then the way she talks to him, it's like he's just been really shit in bed. It was hilarious. It was like, oh, don't worry, it happens. No. Usually it's, it was really funny. That was hilarious, that bit.
I really thought the funny thing is I didn't really do as much research on this because I wanted to go in fresh. I didn't want any spoilers, and I really thought it was a different director just because how differently this movie was been made compared to the last two. You know,
I don't see that difference, to be fair, actually.
I don't know. I think it's not necessarily overall in the grand scheme of things, but it's just the small things like the choice of the alley, the way that the alley was filmed, that fight scene.
Do you think it could be more of him and Cruise just sitting down and going, right, we can't do this, we've done this. You know, they got like a big spreadsheet of what they've done and going, looking at other stuff, go, right, what can we do to be original? And just like brainstorming it out.
I think so, honestly. But at the same time, there are elements to these things that remind me of other movies. And I hadn't seen Fast 10 or the Fast and the Furious 10X, but someone said that the chase scene reminds them of that movie because you know, he watched that movie. He's like, yeah, that part reminded me of this movie. And so I think that to some point you can't make something too original, but what they did with the small details, like I said, with the camera choices and the small lines and the small moments, I think they did just a great job.
I was going to say one thing, talking about like all these big action films kind of having similarities, especially like we said earlier, like, you know, in plot wise, you know, it's find the MacGuffin, travel, find the MacGuffin, be chased by bad guys. That's literally all the big summer movies that have come out. But also, the best action film I'd seen this year till Mission Impossible was John Wick 4, which also has a scene of him on a horse in a desert at the start. And I was like, I know, like, okay, I get it. But still, I was like, I would have probably tried to change that. At least not have him on a horse if it's already literally just been done, and probably your nearest competitor for like action movie of the year.
I think it just really comes down to these movies are more than the sum of their parts. I know that's a weird quote to bring up, but again, when you look at each individual thing by itself, like, yeah, it's going to evoke memories of other movies, but at some point that's going to happen no matter what movie, unless it's like a strange art house film. But put together, it's just a great film. It's really fun, really well done and executed. And I think, again, this is the reason you go to movie theaters, is to see something of this size and spectacle.
I wanted to see this on IMAX. Originally, I wanted to see it last Monday because it came out in the UK a week before the States on the Monday night.
Yeah.
And I got to the cinema, I'd gone out and had dinner, sitting down, just about to go in, go to bring up my digital ticket, and I'm like, it says cancelled. What the hell?
Oh.
The cinema reckoned they'd been sent the wrong print of the film and couldn't screen it.
Man.
Because in the UK, we've got the Cineworld chain. They have IMAX. They have something called Super Screen, which is like kind of a half IMAX at a few locations. So it's a really big screen, but not full designated IMAX. And they got something called Screen X, which is a really weird thing where the film is projected on the sides of the walls next to you as well. And so certain parts are put there. I've only ever seen it in one film, and bizarrely, of all films, it was Detective Pikachu. There wasn't a lot out that day, let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
And it was kind of distracting, but yeah, essentially they've been sent the wrong print. So I was like, okay, well, sorry, I've missed seeing it on the opening day. I couldn't do it the rest of the days. So I was going to go and see it last night in the town over, a couple of towns over. There's like a 30-minute drive one way. And I was going to go and see it in an IMAX. But the app doesn't let you book IMAX and pick your seats online.
Wow.
Even though it's got like, because you have to pay a little bit extra even having the card. Sorry, I'm going off on a Cineworld rant here, but you know, people know about it, deal with it. And so yeah, it says, you know, oh yeah, there will be an uplift payment of £4.30. That's fine, I don't mind paying that. But then you go to the next page and it basically crashes out and says you can't complete this booking.
Oh.
But so wait, I'm gonna go and see a film on the biggest screen possible, but I can't pick my seat until I'm actually at the cinema. And yet I've had a card for the cinema chain for over a decade. Just because your website and app are crap. Do better, Cineworld. People, do better. Anyway, back to the film. Let's talk about Hayley Atwell. And as much as we're annoyed that she survived because of and Ilsa didn't, we have to say I still thought she was really good.
I think she did great.
She was fantastic. So much so that I love that her story is she's a thief, and that throughout the film she kind of becomes a potential recruit. And there's that whole scene near the end where she's basically told, well, look, your life's over as a thief. You can be killed or you can join us. Which isn't really much of a choice. And Tom, you know, Ethan, he took a little while to kind of click on at the start, like, because every time she interacted with him, she double-crossed him.
Yeah.
Like straight away, every time. Like looks around, and they go, she's running. Have I got the key? No, she's probably just stolen it off you for the 60th time. It happened every time.
I mean, to her credit, she doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't really know if this guy who's smooth talking her really is going to follow up and help her out.
Well, and there's that thing with the fight scene on the bridge with S.A. Morales' character with Gabriel, and I'm just like, but she's just supposed to be a thief, so how come she got all these fight skills?
Right, I know.
I mean, she wasn't great. She got like beaten up and thrown down the steps, and then Ilsa stepped up and was like, "Oh yeah, it's on," and then she got stabbed with a penknife. Annoyingly.
I mean, I think Tom mentioned it, or Ethan Hunt mentioned it early on. She's had some training.
Person.
Yes, she's had some training, and it was established because she's not just a pickpocket. She's kind of like a high scale.
But we don't know that from the film, and we haven't been told any of that in the film yet, have we?
I like to give it the benefit of the doubt that when the character is unveiled and they're not immediately killed, that they have some abilities to them.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a bit crap otherwise, wouldn't it? I am going to... I got hit ground coming close to the end here, Jose. I've got two more things left, and one of them is, I reckon they could kill off Ethan Hunt in the next film. Because they toyed with it when Jeremy Renner was going to come in, and then Tom decided he'd do another 6 films afterwards, or 4 or 5.
Right.
I reckon. Do you remember when Indiana Jones came out and we had the whole talk about everyone was like, Phoebe Waller-Bridge can't be the new Indiana Jones. They do more to set up Hayley Atwell's character as a new member, as a replacement for Ethan Hunt in this than they did in Indiana Jones with Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, for sure. I mean, obviously she's not as capable and we don't like her as much yet because, R.I.P. Ilsa, too soon. But
yes,
it's the fact that she's smart in all situations. She doesn't panic. She does panic a fair bit, actually, to be fair, near the start.
But she holds her own considering the circumstances with
she who she's together.
Involved in, honestly. And, she just can't drive worth a crap. Yeah. That's really the best part is she couldn't drive at all. She's crashing through the entire alleyways, and that's how he could follow her.
Well, and that's what I like as well. The terms of like once she's kind of had her situation explained to her that look, you're going to be dead within hours if you don't join us. It's not really much of a choice. But then at the end, when she kind of tries to get her own way out, when she's there pretending to be the White Widow, but then she actually tries to strike a deal for herself for Grace as the White Widow. That was really cool. That worked really well. Or does it? We don't know, because she does get captured at the end.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, though, it shows some character when she turned down the money and just like, you know what? Just make sure myself is safe.
I wasn't clear on that. I wasn't 100% clear on that. I thought she was just because of the time. I thought she had to like.
No, she was just ready to. She was ready to hit accept, and then she hit decline. And I mean that is a little weird, but I think she just was like, you know what?
Well, because what threw me on that scene was when they said, "Oh, we just need to verify your thing," and I'm like, "Well, how can she verify it? She doesn't know."
No, she was sending the money to herself. Grace. Yeah. See. That's where she could have had $100 million. I think it was. I had to count them. I couldn't really count the zeros at that point.
That would take a while.
She had the opportunity to send all that money to herself, like as Grace, but she turned it down and she just walked away. But that's also why she kept the key. So,
I mean, I think next film I'll be much happier with, because I won't be still mourning Ilsa.
I mean, I might still be, but. We'll accept
only if any of the new characters are related to Ilsa, like I don't know, like Hannah Waddington could be her mum or something. Oh, no, that's probably it because they're English. Except she's not English. Her character's English. She's Swedish.
Her character's English. Yes, but I think honestly that 8's going to be a great movie.
Do they kill Tom off in it though? Do they?
But then, do they want to copy off the John Wick aspect then? Because they're going to be
John
comparisons.
Wick might be coming back as well. Spoilers for John Wick.
Yeah, I honestly. I think that they can do it without killing him off, but to the point of the character that they've been pushing, you might have to.
I think they need to go full
Daniel Craig and just have him blow up
Craig in this one. Yeah,
I agree. I guess I'm reluctant because I just enjoyed. It's weird to say this. I enjoyed Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible movies, and I'm afraid to see
8 of them though. Now he's done 8. That's enough.
Yeah,
he's done more films as Ethan Hunt than most guys have done as Bond.
Holy crap, you're right.
Yeah. In fact, me and David had this argument in the early days of the pod that I think the last 2 Mission Impossible films, well, 3 now, including this one, are better James Bond films than most of the Daniel Craig James Bond films. because they are so hamstrung by the iconography of the series. They have to do this every James Bond film. Otherwise, people are going to complain and say it's not James Bond.
Yeah.
Whereas Mission Impossible, they can pretty much do what they want.
I mean, you know what it is? I guess I'm just afraid of what's going to happen after Tom Cruise leaves. Because, maybe he's a producer role, but will he really care as much if he's not in the movie as if he is in the movie?
I think I would just end it with 8. It'd be nice. End it with 8. Don't stretch it to 10. Just,
you know what? That'd be great, but it's not going to happen.
It's called Dead Reckoning, right? Having said that, it has done really well. I think opening weekend, it's made 225 million opening weekend. It only cost 250 million to make.
And it's going to keep making more.
Box office success. Yeah, it's going to.
Yeah.
Because, well, obviously, it's clever as well, right? Because he's telling everyone to go and see it on the biggest screen possible, like Oppenheimer, in the IMAX. IMAX tickets cost more money.
Yes, they do.
So that's how you get your box office up, man. Put it on IMAX.
Yes, sir.
Although Mission Impossible is only on for a week until Oppenheimer comes out in the UK. It gets 1 week of IMAX because Christopher Nolan and Universal struck a deal for exhibition it beforehand.
Wow, this is going to be tough.
So imagine that Tom Cruise lost out on like something in the producing side of things, in like the negotiating side of things there. But hell, man, it happens. So I think final thoughts here for me. Overall, as expected, Cruise and McQuarrie absolutely deliver on amazing set pieces, action and spectacle. The plot really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And for me, my only other minor fault with the film, other than R.I.P. Ilsa too soon, killing Ilsa, that's like my main. That's why you lose a star, film. That's why you lose a star. You killed Ilsa, and there was absolutely no need. But a slight lack of closure and excitement towards the end of the film. And when I say excitement, just knowing that because we've seen in the trailers, the train and the bike stunt, that's going to be the end of the film. That's going to be the last set piece and sequence. Also, there's no resolution in this one. I don't know. When the next film's going to, when you're watching just a film that ends, you build up and then you got that, you get that satisfied, that was really good. Here you haven't got that because you've got to wait another year to see the rest of the story.
Yeah, the fun counter to that is I posted that idea is like, am I going to feel not complete watching this movie? And on my thread post, someone responded, well, because I think it was someone in the UK who watched it, and they responded, you know what? I get what you're saying, but it wasn't as bad as Across the Spider-Verse. And I have to say, in perspective, he was correct.
It wasn't a cliffhanger ending. I mean, I literally thought at one point the shot of him going off the cliff would be the last shot of the movie.
Yeah.
I thought that would be the way to do it.
Not bad, actually.
But then, obviously, putting the very last shot in the trailer might not be a good idea. Yeah, I'm generally happy. I give this 4 out of 5. It loses. It would have been 4.5. I don't think it was quite. To get a 5 for me, the plot and the story would have had to been a bit better written out. Perhaps a bit of a better villain than just an AI whose aims are still not kind of clear yet. It's not clear what the AI wants or what the villain wants yet. All the villain's doing is the AI's what the AI wants him to. So
I'd say if Gabriel was maybe not as omniscient and he was using the AI to just know things to some degree, I think it would have been better. Like the fact that it seems like Gabriel knows things that he shouldn't, even though technology has infiltrated our lives. I think if he brought that down a little bit, then I would have been okay. This is reasonable because we know that our phones listen to us. We know that the world is watching, but to know that this guy cheated on his wife and gave her a present on her birthday, I'm like, okay, guys, let's bring it down a notch.
I mean, standard Italian police officer, right?
Police chief.
Oh, definitely, definitely multiple mistresses. So, Jose, I'm giving it 4 out of 5. What are you giving it?
I'm gonna be honest. For the most part, 4.5 out of 5. So 4. Half a star for Ilsa.
Half a star for Ilsa. Full star for Ilsa. Well, that's about all the time we've got. This podcast will explode in 5 seconds. See you soon.
Cheers.
We needed roads.